Welcome to Bemanda Podcast, your frontline source for smart, sharp, and straight talk on IT trends, tech truths, and digital transformation. Here is today's podcast in English.
Imagine your company just announced a big move, not, to a new office building, but to a completely new digital home in the cloud. And you have weeks, maybe months to make it happen. Suddenly you're grappling with this mix of excitement, maybe, but also a dash of that overwhelming uncertainty, that feeling. That's pretty much what a migration can feel like in the tech world. Today, we're embarking on a really crucial deep dive into the world of digital migration. We'll be focusing specifically on how organizations successfully move their vital content, their data, their systems from one digital place to another. Our insights for this deep dive, they're largely drawn from the comprehensive Bemanda technology training material on mastering migration. And honestly, it provides an incredible roadmap for navigating these complex projects.
Yeah, it really does. Our mission today, I think, is to cut through some of the jargon you might have heard and really give you the essential of knowledge you need, things you can use to understand, plan, and, importantly, execute a successful migration. Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to confidently tackling what can seem like a really daunting task and turning it into a strategic opportunity.
And speaking of moving, migration really is a lot like moving to a new house, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, you have to decide what to pack, right? What to leave behind. And critically, how you're going to arrange your stuff, your furniture, in the new place to make it work better for you. It's definitely not just about shifting boxes around. It's about making a new space more efficient, more collaborative, and really more aligned with where you want to go.
So over the next little while, we'll unpack the different types of migrations, we'll delve into the fundamental reasons why they're needed, we'll explore how to plan them meticulously, and then zero in on the critical tools and strategies involved. All of this, like we said, is firmly rooted in the fantastic insights from the Bemanda technology training material. Get ready for some really practical insights, I hope. Whew. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. When we talk about migration in the tech world, how should we really define it? What's the core concept?
Right. At its heart, migration, and our guide lays this out really clearly, is this structured process. It's about moving content, data, users, all your digital assets, basically, from one system, platform, or architecture to another. And it's almost always a purposeful move, driven by clear goals, things like improving operational efficiency, maybe modernizing your tech stack, or enhancing the user experience, or meeting new security and governance needs. It's never just a casual file transfer. It's strategic.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's not just one single thing, right? We hear different terms thrown around. What are the broader definitions here?
You're right. It's definitely a spectrum. The material breaks it down nicely. You've got system migration. This is about moving entire infrastructures or platforms. Think taking an old SharePoint Server 2013 environment and moving it wholesale to SharePoint Online. Then there's content management migration. This focuses more on shifting content between different CMS platforms, and this often involves changing the content structure or format quite a bit, moving from an old legacy CMS to SharePoint Online, for example. And finally, data migration. This is the transfer of structured or unstructured data between databases or storage, like moving a SQL Server database to Dataverse, or just getting your old network file shares into OneDrive. Each type has its own complexities.
Right, to bring that to life. Imagine a real-world scenario we've seen, a classic challenge, really, an organization trying to move a decade-old document library from SharePoint 2010. It's got custom workflows, info path forms, the works, and the goal is to get all that content and its functionality into a modern SharePoint Online team site. And that new site needs to integrate seamlessly with Power Automate for the workflows and Teams for collaboration. That's not just copy-paste, it's a detailed project.
Exactly, and that example highlights a crucial point. While migration might sound purely technical, it's actually a really profound strategic opportunity. It's way more than just a simple transfer. Our roadmap suggests it's transformative. It allows organizations to really assess and significantly improve their existing digital setups. It's your chance, basically, to unlock value by modernizing user experiences, streamlining clunky old operations, and strengthening your overall governance. We've seen clients use this as a catalyst, truly.
Yeah, it's common for migration projects to lead to these really positive outcomes. It becomes a vehicle for improvement. For instance, you might see a complete information architecture redesign, where those deep nested subsites get flattened into more efficient hub-connected sites. Or a crucial content audit and cleanup phase, getting rid of old duplicate stuff that's just costing you storage money. It's also a chance to rebuild workflows and forms using modern tools like Power Automate and Power Apps, leaving behind those deprecated systems. And often it involves a full taxonomy overhaul. better metadata, better tagging, which drastically improved governance and search.
It really is like a digital spring cleaning and redecoration rolled into one.
Okay, so with all these different goals and the potential for a real transformation, it makes sense there isn't just one way to do a migration. Our material points out that choosing the right approach is absolutely critical. It depends on your goals, your technical readiness, the nature of the content. So what are the distinct types of migration strategies we should be aware of? First, there's lift and shift. It's pretty much what it sounds like, right? Move content as is, minimal changes. Ideal for maybe straightforward file share moves, simple document libraries. But the big catch is you might carry over old inefficiencies, outdated structures, maybe even security issues into your shiny new environment. It's like just packing up your old house exactly as it is, clutter and all, and dumping the boxes in the new place without sorting anything out.
Then you have replatforming. This is where you intentionally redesign or rebuild things, specifically using cloud-native tools. This approach is perfect for truly modernizing elements like old InfoPath forms, classic SharePoint workflows, or those old classic pages that just don't map directly to the new cloud world. The trade-off. It takes significant development and re-architecture work upfront. It's a much bigger lift, planning-wise, but almost always leads to a better, more optimized result long-term.
Next is the hybrid approach. The strategy combines cloud and on-prem environments. They coexist, often interact. It's frequently used for long-term phased migrations where you can't move everything at once. Or maybe compliance means keeping certain data on-prem. The main thing here is needing that consistent, secure connectivity and dealing with the complexity of managing two environments at the same time.
And finally, a really practical approach, incremental migration, sometimes called delta migration. This involves staging the migration, validating in batches. It's fantastic for reducing business disruption, works well for pilot programs. If you're moving a large active data set, this is off the way. A simple way to think about delta migration. It's like moving a few boxes at a time, checking them, and then only moving the new things or changes that showed up in the old house since your last trip. Keeps things running smoothly.
So why do organizations even go through all this effort? What are the big business motivations? Our material makes it clear it's critical for digital transformation, not just a chore.
Absolutely. One of the biggest issues organizations face is this fragmentation problem. If your data is scattered everywhere, locked in silos, trapped, it's just incredibly hard to operate efficiently. You lose insights, collaboration slows, decision-making gets sluggish. When you consolidate that data into a unified platform like Microsoft 365, you gain that 360-degree view everyone talks about. Operations, customers, products. It enables faster, smarter decisions. What drives the push? Could be basic stuff like server or storage upgrades, replacing old infrastructure. Then there's the huge trend of cloud adoption, like moving fully into Microsoft 365. We also see it with website consolidation, infrastructure modernization, even data center moves, software upgrades, app transitions, database migrations, and definitely mergers, acquisitions, or big organizational restructures. These are all massive drivers. Ultimately, as the material states, migration lays the foundation for a more agile, collaborative, and cost-effective business.
Let's break down some specific business reasons why migrating to M365 is becoming so essential. First, modern collaboration. Today's workforce expects tools for real-time co-authoring, mobile access, seamless communication. M365 delivers this with Teams, SharePoint, Outlook, OneDrive, providing anytime, anywhere access, central workspaces, integrated chat, meetings, file sharing. Second, remote work enablement. With the shift to remote and hybrid work, people need to work securely and efficiently from anywhere. M365 supports this with web and mobile access, federated authentication, single sign-on, SSO, and strong role-based access across devices. It's about productivity and security wherever your team is.
Another big driver looking at the bigger picture is compliance and governance. Organizations face huge pressure to meet regulations like GDPR, HAPA, etc. Microsoft 365 steps up here with powerful built-in features. Data loss prevention, DLP, comprehensive audit logging, e-discovery, granular retention policies through Purview. We've seen clients totally transform their compliance posture just by leveraging these tools after migration. It gives them robust ways to manage risk and ensure they're following the rules.
And of course, cost reduction. Legacy infrastructure can be incredibly expensive to maintain. Licenses, hardware. Migrating to the cloud, as our material details, helps cut these costs. No more server hardware, less manual patching, streamlined IT ops overall. Plus, using ETL tools and migration utilities can move large data sets to often more cost-effective cloud storage. Shifts CapEx to OpEx.
What's also clear is how migration boosts greater collaboration. It directly helps break down those data silos that stop teams from sharing info easily. With content centralized in SharePoint and OneDrive, communication streamlined via Teams, employees get much better visibility. They can collaborate way more effectively. Think marketing instantly accessing sales figures, or product development working on docs with customer support in real time. That's the power of consolidated content.
And finally, organizational agility. Businesses just have to stay flexible. Technologies change, vendors change, customer needs change. Migration lets organizations transition between platforms without losing critical data access. It helps avoid vendor lock-in by keeping data portable, and it lets you adopt best-in-class platforms and modern apps without major disruption. It's really about future-proofing. So, those are the powerful business reasons. But what about the technical motivations? Our guide emphasizes these are often just as urgent, if not more so, as systems age.
Absolutely. One of the most pressing issues is end-of-life EOL platforms. Many legacy systems like SharePoint 2013, Exchange 2013, Windows Server 2012, they're just not supported anymore by the vendors. This brings serious risks. Unpatched security holes, compatibility problems with modern browsers and apps, and zero vendor support when things inevitably break. It's like driving an old car with no spare parts available, just not sustainable or safe long-term.
Right. And then there's performance and scalability. Old systems just can't keep up. Microsoft 365, on the other hand, is built for elastic, cloud-native scaling. It handles massive workload surges without slowing down. It ensures global access, high availability, built-in load balancing. It's built for today's demands, letting your infrastructure grow with your business without constant hardware buys.
Looking bigger picture again, we see the power of a unified ecosystem. Microsoft 365 integrates key services seamlessly. This enables real data and process unification across SharePoint for content, Teams for collaboration, Outlook for communication, the Power Platform for automation, and OneDrive for personal files. This unification is a huge technical plus, killing those silos.
And maybe most critically today, security enhancements. Legacy systems often lack the advanced security needed for modern threats. Microsoft 365, as the material outlines, includes next-gen features: Microsoft Defender, real-time threat analytics, multi-factor authentication, MFA, conditional access policies, data encryption everywhere, deep integration with sensitivity labels. It's a significant security upgrade, a much stronger defense against cyber attacks.
Now, if we flip that coin, what are the risks of not migrating? Delaying might seem cheaper short-term, but it leads to big long-term problems. Outdated systems become liabilities fast. First, security vulnerabilities. Unsupported platforms don't get patches. They're wide open to modern threats like ransomware, data breaches. We've sadly seen organizations suffer huge losses because they held on to unsupported systems. Then there are rising operational costs. Maintaining legacy gear is expensive. Aging hardware, specialized support staff needed, lots of manual management that could be automated in the cloud.
And it's not just the tech. There's significant user dissatisfaction. People expect modern, mobile-friendly tools. Outdated systems slow productivity, limit collaboration, and can lead to shadow IT users finding their own unsanctioned tools because the official ones stink. That creates security and compliance nightmares.
Finally, maybe most concerning for growth is stalled innovation. Legacy platforms lock you out of exciting M365 innovations. Things like Copilot, Loop components, AI-powered automation via Power Platform. This means missed opportunities for transformation and ultimately losing competitive advantage. You just can't innovate fast if you're chained to old systems.
Okay, time for some reflection. 1, can you explain the difference between a lift and shift migration and a replatforming approach? And maybe when you might choose one over the other. 2, beyond just moving files, how can migration be that strategic opportunity for an organization, as highlighted in the Bemanda technology training material?
Yeah, good questions. And remember, a successful migration isn't just moving data. It's moving without losing trust in your information and your capabilities.
Now that we understand the why and the what, let's talk how. Planning, section 2. Planning your migration strategy, the roadmap to success. Our guide makes it crystal clear migrating isn't a single event. It's a structured, multi-phase journey.
You've hit on a critical point there. This phased migration lifecycle is absolutely crucial. It's how you manage complexity, reduce risk, and keep the business running throughout the whole process. It typically involves 4 core stages: discovery, assessment, execution, and validation. Each plays a vital role in ensuring a smooth move to modern platforms like M365. Skipping one, like moving house without packing first.
So let's break these down. First, A, discovery. This is your deep dive, your reconnaissance. You inventory all content sources, old SharePoint farms, subsites, file shares, maybe even third-party systems. You identify structures, content types, workflows, custom solutions, permissions, everything. Tools recommended by our material, Microsoft's SM tool, PowerShell scripts, or robust third-party options like ShareGate inventory or AVE point scan. It's like meticulously inventorying your old house, every drawer, every closet before packing.
Next is B, assessment. Here, you take that inventory and evaluate everything. Is it relevant? Sensitive? Obsolete? This is your prime chance to decide. Migrate, archive, or just delete it. You also identify migration blockers, unsupported web parts, huge lists, old InfoPat forms that won't translate, the output, a migration readiness report, and an effort estimate. This stops you moving that broken armchair or old junk to the new digital place.
Then comes C, execution. This is where the plan goes into motion. You define your approach, lift and shift, replatform, hybrid. You select your tools, maybe Microsoft's SPMT, maybe ShareGate. Then you run a pilot migration with a small representative chunk of content to iron out kinks. After that, you perform the actual migration in phases maybe by department, site collection, business unit, gradually moving your digital assets.
And finally, devalidation. This is absolutely crucial, often underestimated. Here you meticulously verify post-migration content accuracy, structure, metadata. You test permissions, workflows, integrations. You conduct user acceptance testing, UAT, with key business users to get their feedback, make sure it meets their daily needs, and you monitor performance, search indexing. This phase confirms everything's working as expected in the new place, making sure it's ready for everyone.
Setting realistic timelines is so critical here. Our guide stresses that without a good timeline, projects just invite scope creep, frustrating delays, resource jams, and ultimately user frustration that kills adoption.
Exactly. A realistic timeline has to factor in several things. The sheer volume and complexity of the content, right? Any custom solutions needing redesign, the speed and capacity of your chosen tools, and crucially, user availability for testing and feedback. To succeed, build in buffer time for fixing issues between waves. Set clear milestones for pilot testing, UAT, final validation. It's about managing expectations and minimizing disruption.
A SharePoint migration is definitely not just technical. It's a big organizational change. That's why identifying stakeholders and roles is so vital, as our material highlights. It needs collaboration across IT, business units, leadership.
So who are these key players? Our guide points out several crucial roles. You've got the project sponsor, providing executive backing, the budget, the IT lead managing technical planning, tool execution, then business champions representing department needs, ensuring it works for their daily ops. They're the user's voice. Site owners are critical for validating migrated content and structure. And the change management lead handling user communications, training. Absolutely vital for smooth adoption, minimizing resistance, engaging all these folks early, paramount. Define expectations, gather requirements, promote adoption.
To really know if a migration worked, you need clear success metrics from the start. It's not just about technical completion, is it? Our guide says success is also about meeting user expectations, supporting business processes, enabling productivity.
Yeah, you need quantifiable KPIs, key performance indicators. Things like percentage of content migrated accurately, avoiding downtime during cutover, user adoption rates post-migration, completion of workflow replacements, trends, and help desk tickets afterwards. Tracking these helps assess your strategy's effectiveness, highlights optimization areas, lets you see the value unlocked, not just boxes moved.
Okay, on to something absolutely critical, governance and rollback strategies. Our guide emphasizes that without proper governance, new environments can quickly become messy, inconsistent, maybe even non-compliant, like moving into a new house with no rules about where things go.
Absolutely. Think of AE governance planning as setting the house rules for your new digital home, defining site provisioning processes, storage quotas, clear naming conventions, setting retention policies for documents, establishing secure sharing controls, defining metadata standards for consistency. Crucially, implementing data loss prevention, DLP, and compliance configurations after migration ensures things stay secure and compliant from day one. For instance, let's imagine a common scenario. A migration project manager, let's call her PM, talking downtime with a business stakeholder, BS, from sales, PM. Okay, we're looking at a 48-hour cutover window for the main sales data. It's aggressive, I know, but it minimizes costs by getting it done fast, BS. 48 hours, that's 2 full days. Our team can't access sales data. We can't afford that. Our peak is Friday afternoon. Can we split this, find an off-peak time? And what's the fallback if something goes wrong right then? That's a completely valid concern. Our Bemanda technology training material stresses this exact point, balancing speed with business impact. We could consider an incremental approach just for your department. Move data in smaller batches over weekends, then a final, minimal cutover. And for rollback, we'd keep a full snapshot of the source data until final validation. We can revert if needed. It might stretch the timeline a bit, but it drastically cuts the business risk. That dialogue really highlights the importance of rollback and contingency planning. You absolutely must have a rollback option for critical failures. This means maintaining backups or snapshots before you migrate anything. And like the scenario showed, using pilot and phased rollouts helps limit your risk exposure massively. Find issues small before they hit everyone.
So, to summarize the best practices from our guide for solid planning, start small with a pilot. Refine your process, find surprises early, communicate often, keep users informed timelines, updates, training, manage expectations, document everything. Keep a detailed migration log, decisions, issues, fixes. Prioritize high-value content. Not everything needs moving. Sometimes archiving or deleting is right. And finally, ensure robust post-migration support. Address issues and user questions quickly. Make them feel supported in the new place. Okay, another chance to reflect. 1. Why is it crucial to involve those business champions and change management leads in your migration planning, according to the Bemanda technology training material? 2. What are 2 key elements you'd absolutely include in a rollback plan for a SharePoint migration?
Right. Good planning isn't just about speed. It's about building confidence every step of the way.
Moving into section 3. Essential pre-migration inventory and assessment. Before you even think about moving a single file, you need to know exactly what you're dealing with. Our material makes it clear this is the absolute foundation.
Precisely. The whole point of inventory and assessment is getting a complete, really granular understanding of your current environment. This groundwork is utterly essential for making informed decisions, scoping the project accurately, mitigating risks effectively, and ultimately executing successfully. It helps you figure out exactly what to migrate, what to archive, what needs rebuilding, and how to prioritize it all. You really can't pack the moving truck efficiently until you know every single item in the house, right down to the attic and basement.
So how do you get that level of understanding? What are the key tools for this pre-migration assessment that our material talks about?
Okay, first up is the SharePoint Migration Assessment Tool, or SMAT. It's a free tool from Microsoft. It scans your on-prem SharePoint server environments 2010, 2013, 2016, and spits out detailed reports, usually CSV files. These reports are invaluable. They identify potential migration blockers. Things like huge lists, unsupported site templates, those old InfoPath forms that won't just move over, classic web parts, full trust solutions, even broken links. It's essential for flagging what needs modernization before you move.
Then we have PowerShell scripts. These give you incredibly flexible, scriptable access to inventory data from on-prem SharePoint and file systems. You can use them to get custom reports on almost anything. Site collections, subsites, lists, permissions, workflow usage, file types, size distribution. The beauty of PowerShell, it can be automated to run regularly, and the data is easy to export for filtering and prioritizing. Gives you a dynamic view.
And then there are the third-party inventory tools, the ShareGate, AvePoint, Metalogix. These platforms offer advanced scanning, often with great visualization and pre-migration analytics. They usually have interactive dashboards, readiness scores, deep insights into customizations, orphan content in active sites, even automation for tagging, grouping, and scheduling migration batches. They really simplify understanding a huge digital estate, like a specialized inventory service for your digital stuff.
Okay, so with these tools, what exactly should you be inventorying and assessing? The goal, as highlighted, is a comprehensive map of the source.
You need to meticulously look at 1. Site structures. Document all site collections, subsites, hubs, their libraries, lists. Identify the hierarchy, depths, flying any sites using classic templates or old features that might cause trouble. Then 2, customizations. This is critical. Identify full trust farm solutions, WSPs, sandbox solutions, any custom code like JavaScript, custom master pages, InfoPath forms, SharePoint designer workflows. The key here is figuring out, can they be migrated as is? Do they need rebuilding in a modern way, like with Power Apps or Power Automate? Or should they just be retired because they're not needed or supported anymore?
And crucially, 3, large lists and libraries. Flag any list hitting that 5,000 item view threshold in SharePoint. Remember, it's not a limit on items a list can hold, but a query restriction that can break views if you're not careful. You need to identify views or filters that might break post-migration. Plan for maybe content chunking, indexed columns, or list redesign to keep things performing well.
This is also a great chance to find 4. Unused or redundant content, sites with no activity for ages, orphan documents, unlinked libraries, duplicate data, archive stuff. This cleanup phase significantly reduces the volume you migrate. That improves new environment performance and cuts cloud storage costs. Think of it as a massive digital declutter before the move.
And finally, 5, dependencies and integrations. Assess any external dependencies. Linked Excel workbooks, access databases, API integrations, custom web services, external data sources like BCS connections. It's vital to map out business processes relying on these to avoid disruption later. You don't want to move the furniture and find your smart home devices don't connect anymore.
The benefits of doing this thoroughly. Immense. First, scope clarity. You know exactly how much and what type of content is moving. This leads directly to risk mitigation. You find hidden issues, broken links, unsupported web parts, security inconsistencies before they become migration nightmares. It also allows much more accurate effort estimation, helps forecast resources needed for replatforming or cleanup, and it drives cost efficiency. By finding and ditching irrelevant content, you avoid migrating stuff that just inflates M365 storage costs, saves money long term. Perhaps most importantly, it informs your modernization planning. Identifies clear opportunities to rebuild legacy stuff using Power Platform or modern SharePoint features. Really pushes your organization forward.
For a practical idea here, I highly recommend this. Try running a migration pre-check report on a small test dataset using Microsoft's Ascent tool. See what it finds in a real environment. It's a great way to get a feel for the process. Okay, time for some more reflection. 1, why is identifying those unsupported customizations such a critical part of the pre-migration assessment, and what tools can help you do that based on the Bemanda technology training material? 2, what's the main benefit of doing a thorough content audit and cleanup phase during assessment?
Assess before you advance and you'll transform chaos into clarity. Trust me on that one.
All right, let's talk tools. Section 4, choosing the right migration tool, your digital movers. This is a huge decision, right? Can make or break a project.
It's absolutely critical. Our material really emphasizes this. The migration tool you pick significantly impacts speed, accuracy, manageability, and the cost of the whole project. The right solution has to align with your technical needs, content complexity, volume, and how much control or automation you need. It's exactly like picking the right moving company. Do you need the full service team with specialized packing, or can you manage with just a rental truck?
That's a great analogy, really clarifies it. So what are the different tool categories we should know about according to our guide?
Broadly, 2 main types. First, Microsoft native tools. The main one here is the SharePoint Migration Tool, SPMT. Developed by Microsoft, it's free, GI-based, specifically designed to help migrate from file shares to SharePoint Online or OneDrive, and from SharePoint Server 2010-2013 on-prem directly to SharePoint Online. It's Microsoft's pathway built in.
And then the third-party tools. These are usually feature-rich solutions that go way beyond basic transfer. They're designed for enterprise scale. They offer advanced stuff like pre-migration analysis, granular filtering, sophisticated user permission mapping, extensive automation, and really detailed reporting with audit trails.
Some big names here, highlighted in our material, are ShareGate, known for its user-friendly desktop interface. Strong support for restructuring content, mapping permissions, incremental migrations, often ideal for mid-sized to large orgs wanting fast deployment, less complexity. Then AvePoint. Cloud first, enterprise grade, offers comprehensive migration, governance, backup, compliance features, supports hybrid, multi-tenant environments, particularly good for highly regulated industries needing robust automation and auditing.
And Metalogix, now part of Quest. This is robust, scalable, often chosen for highly complex migrations, especially with deep customizations or legacy integrations. Supports a vast array of source and destination types, strong analysis, workflow transformation. Let's do a quick feature comparison, pulling from our material because this really shows the differences. Cost, STMT is free. ShareGate, AvePoint, Metalogix are paid, subscription-based. UI UX, SPMT has a simple wizard, ShareGate an intuitive dashboard, AvePoint a web console, Metalogix an admin interface, maybe more technical.
Right. For source support, SPMT does file shares and SP 2010-2013, the third-party tools. Much broader range. All SP versions offer other platforms like Google Drive, advanced file system features, granular control. SPMT is limited on filtering. The others offer extensive control over what moves, how it moves. All support incremental migration, which is vital. Reporting. SPMT has basic logs. Others give detailed reports, dashboards, custom alerts.
Pre-migration analysis. Minimal with SPMT, but usually robust and included with third-party tools. Metadata preservation. SPMT supports it, but others often offer full automated support. Permissions migration. Basic with SPMT, advanced with sophisticated mapping and paid tools. Crucially, scheduling and automation. Generally, no for SPMT, but a key feature for ShareGate, AvePoint, Metalogix for large operations, and support for custom workflows. Limited with SPMT, moderate to strong with third-party options, sometimes offering transformation help.
So when should you use Microsoft's SPMT? It's ideal for small to medium orgs, straightforward migrations from file shares, or SP 2010-2013. If you don't need advanced scheduling, deep filtering, complex workflow changes, and budget is tight, SPMT is a strong free option. Its strengths: free, integrated with M365, support incremental sync, basic reporting, secure, officially supported by Microsoft.
But important to know its limits. Lacks a rich UI, minimal automation, limited source compatibility, not suitable for complex customizations, migrating from older SP versions like 2007 or integrating with other platforms.
So when do you really need the big guns, the third-party tools? Our material highlights they're ideal for enterprise-scale migrations, multiple site collections, business units, where you need deep pre-migration analysis, filtering, content mapping. Also essential when migrating from very old versions like SharePoint 2007 or other platforms like Lotus Notes or Google Drive, for high-volume moves needing sophisticated scheduling, batching, extensive logging, auditing. Third-party tools are indispensable. And if you're rebuilding complex workflows, InfoPath forms into modern solutions. These tools often have advanced features to help that transformation.
The benefits are clear. Advanced filtering, robust mapping for metadata housers permissions, detailed reporting, built-in automation, better hybrid support. A real-life example from our material. A large government agency migrating over 100 terabytes of structured content, thousands of users. They need incremental batches, detailed metadata mapping, secure audit logging for compliance. In this case, ShareGate or FPoint would be ideal to manage that complexity.
Choosing the right tool for your organization. Never one size fits all. Depends entirely on your needs, constraints, priorities. Evaluate factors like volume complexity, source system versions, customizations, automation level needed, support for metadata workflows, permissions, user-friendliness, compliance needs, licensing budget, support availability, all critical. Our guide offers a great tip. Always run pilot migrations using trial versions of different tools. Compare performance, usability in your environment before committing.
So think of your migration tool like your moving company again, SPMT. Maybe the DIY truck rental for simple local moves, but for a really big, complex move, antiques, special needs, tight schedule, you're hiring the pros like ShareGate or AvePoint. They handle everything from packing lists to liability, intricate delivery. Time to reflect on tool selection. 1. When would the Bemanda technology training material recommend using a free tool like Microsoft's SPMT over a paid third-party one? 2. What specific feature of a third-party migration tool would be most valuable for a large enterprise needing to automate repetitive migration tasks?
The right tool doesn't just move the data. It moves your organization forward with confidence. It really sets the stage.
All right, let's dive into Section 5. Migrating SharePoint sites and site collections. This is core to transitioning to SharePoint Online, right? Moving content, templates, permissions, maybe even rethinking the whole architecture.
Understanding the different SharePoint site types is foundational here. Our material distinguishes them carefully. iTeams sites, typically for internal collaboration, small groups, departments, they contain document libraries, lists, calendars, workflows naturally. In modern SharePoint Online, these are Microsoft 365 group-connected, integrating seamlessly with Teams, a true collaborative hub.
Then 2, communication sites. These are for broadcasting info, broadly corporate news, HR resources, marketing campaigns. Focuses on visual appeal, responsive design, structured navigation to get info out effectively. Key difference, as our material points out, they don't connect to M365 groups or teams. They're for one-to-many communication.
And this brings up a crucial distinction. Classic versus modern SharePoint sites. Classic sites, better for legacy environments heavy on custom code, InfoPath, old SPD workflows. But they lack scalability, responsiveness on modern devices, and aren't actively developed for future support. Modern sites, the recommended approach in SharePoint Online, much better performance, usability, deeper integration with the whole M365 ecosystem. A best practice clearly highlighted. Consider modernizing classic sites during migration. Convert them to modern communication or team sites, redesign content with modern web parts, architecture. It's a huge upgrade opportunity.
So given these types and the push to modernize, what are the key steps in migrating sites and site collections? Our guide outlines a structured process way beyond just copying content.
First step, again, is iDiscovery mapping. Thoroughly inventory all site collections, subsites, content, category sites, .team, communication, custom apps. Identify templates, classic elements, large lists, complex permissions. Get the full picture first.
Next, 2, pre-migration preparation. Clean up unused sites, lists that digital decluttering. Convert or redesign unsupported customizations that won't make the jump. Crucially, determine your target architecture in SharePoint Online. Restructure sites. Flatten those nested subsites into hub-connected top-level sites. Redesign navigation. Plan the new home's layout before moving furniture.
Then 3, tool selection and migration execution. Tools like SPMT, ShareGate, AvePoint support full or partial site moves, preserving permissions, metadata, version history. Our material suggests migrating in Waves department, geography, business function. Always perform pilot migrations, validate content, structure links before full rollout. Phased approach minimizes risk, lets you refine as you go.
And finally, IFE, post-migration reconfiguration. Getting everything running smoothly, optimally in the new place. Update, change navigation links, reconnect sites to M365 groups if needed, register sites with hub sites for branding, navigation, maybe configure modern site templates using SiteScript's designs. Reindex content for search so Microsoft Search reflects the new structure.
One of the biggest opportunities when migrating to SharePoint Online isn't just moving content. It's a golden chance to rethink and fundamentally modernize your entire site architecture. Why rethink? Traditional SharePoint often used deeply nested subsites. Functional, maybe, but limit scalability, usability, permission management in the modern cloud. SharePoint Online encourages a modern flat architecture, promotes flexibility, better permission management.
That leads right to I. From subsites to flat architecture, SharePoint Online really pushes flat structures over deep hierarchies. Replace nested subsites with standalone modern sites linked via hub sites. The benefits, according to our material, significant. Easier permission management, improved scalability, flexibility, better alignment with Teams Planner for integrated collaboration, a complete shift in organizing digital content.
And that ties directly into other hub site connections. Use hub sites for shared navigation across related sites, unified branding, themes, even roll up content like news, events, documents from associated sites onto a central page. Planning these hub associations is key post-migration. Creates a cohesive, easy-to-navigate intranet.
Then there's 3, site template alignment. Classic templates, publishing, blog, project sites are deprecated or have no direct modern equivalent. Our material suggests recreating their functionality. Use communication sites for publishing, team sites with planner lists for project management, or leverage Power Platform for workflows forms previously handled by InfraPath SPD. Find the modern equivalent that suits the cloud, future-proofs your solution.
Validation and testing are critical final steps. Ensure the migrated environment works as intended, meets user expectations. Even a well-done migration can introduce issues formatting, navigation, permissions, functionality, especially moving classic to modern. Rigorous testing finds and fixes these before full rollout, minimizes disruption, builds user confidence. Confirm content accuracy, structure consistency. Test page rendering, especially with classic web parts. Validate navigation menus. Ensure list views, forms, versioning work, and crucially conduct user acceptance testing UAT with site owners, key business users. Confirm it supports their business needs.
For a practical hands-on idea here, in a sandbox environment, try converting a classic SharePoint site to modern using the PnP modernization framework. Helps understand the transformation firsthand, anticipate challenges. Time for our revision questions. 1. What are the key differences between a team site and a communication site in modern SharePoint Online, and why does the Bemanda technology training material recommend modernizing classic sites during migration? 2. Why is moving from a deeply nested subsite architecture to a flat architecture encouraged in SharePoint Online?
Modernizing your sites during migrations, like upgrading your home's foundation, sets you up for future growth. It really does.
Moving on to Section 6, migrating document libraries and lists. This is often the real core of the migration, isn't it? Where the vast majority of an organization's actual working data lives.
Absolutely. Migrating libraries and lists is one of the most critical parts of any SharePoint migration. These elements store core business content, collaborative files, structured data, business-critical records. Ensuring a smooth transition means meticulously preserving metadata, views, version history, content types, permissions, all while tackling challenges like huge lists. It's about making sure every piece of data keeps its context and history.
So how do we preserve all that rich context that makes content truly valuable? Our material outlines how important it is to retain that info that gives content meaning.
First, metadata preservation. Custom columns you created, system fields like created, modified by, managed metadata terms. Need to ensure your chosen tools, ShareGate, AvePoint, MetaLogix are configured to maintain these fields accurately. Even Microsoft's SPMT supports it, though might need some manual mapping for specific custom fields.
Then version history. Crucial for tracking, restoring earlier versions. often a compliance or operational need. Most tools let you bring over major minor versions, but check your tool's config. Just be aware of storage impacts in SPO with extensive version histories they add up.
Also vital how content types are handled. Need to ensure they're properly defined, published in the destination site level or hub content type gallery, includes migrating associated templates, columns, workflows tied to them, and of course, permissions. Must accurately maintain item library level permissions. Review inherited versus unique to avoid access issues. Align legacy AD permissions with Microsoft Entra ID security groups post-migration for seamless access.
Now, a common hurdle in SharePoint Online handling large lists and libraries. That 5,000 item view threshold often catches people out. It's not a hard cap on total items. A list can hold millions or fine, but it's a query restriction to maintain performance in the multi-tenant cloud. This threshold cannot be increased in SPO, unlike on-prem.
So how do you deal with it when you have massive lists? Our material gives several best practices. First, enable index columns. Pre-index important columns created, modified, anything frequently filtered sorted to support filtered views, reduce throttling. Second, use filtered views. Create views returning fewer than 5,000 items. Leverage folders or metadata navigation to segment content so users always query a smaller subset.
Third, chunk the migration. Migrate large libraries in batches, using your tool's filters maybe by date, file type, folder. Avoid trying to move 100,000 plus files in one go, likely triggers throttling or timeouts. Fourth, if using a third-party tool, enable large list support if available. Some manage throttling intelligently during transfer. And fifth, split oversized libraries. Consider splitting into multiple libraries or archiving older content into read-only libraries if they're truly too big for one active library.
Maintaining column formatting and custom views is crucial for user experience. Ensures consistency, usability. Not all classic formats carry over automatically. Tips from the material. Rebuild custom views using modern UI. Recreate classic views with modern settings. For column formatting, use JSON formatting for custom styles. Document custom formats before migration. Capture that JSON or conditional format so you can reapply them easily. And promote modern filters and sorting. Highlight important views post-migration by pinning them. Guide users to efficient ways to interact with data.
To ensure everything's solid post-migration, there's a detailed validation checklist for lists and libraries. You should confirm all metadata system fields intact, accurate, version history fully retained, permissions accurately mapped, enforced, content type templates available, working, views render properly, no threshold errors, column formatting preserved gray applied, large libraries accessible, performant.
Think of validation like checking your grocery receipt after shopping, making sure you got everything you paid for, right quantity, right quality, nothing missed or damaged. Let's consider a practical role play. An IT engineer, ITE, explaining to a compliance officer how sensitive data will be handled during a Google Drive to M365 migration. ITE. Okay, for sensitive data from Google Drive, we're using a specific migration tool. It preserves existing file permissions and, crucially, applies Microsoft 365 sensitivity labels during the transfer. Our Bemanda technology training material really emphasizes this granular control for compliance. ATO. And how will we ensure only authorized personnel can access it post-migration, especially with potential identity changes from Google accounts to Azure AD? We can't have any accidental exposure. ITE. Right. We're mapping existing Google Drive user permissions directly to their corresponding Microsoft Entra ID accounts. We're also checking for any orphaned users who aren't in our directory anymore. Post-migration, we'll run a permissions validation script to confirm access controls are strictly enforced down to the item level. Ensures we meet compliance, no unauthorized access.
Time for some reflection. 1. Why is metadata preservation so important when migrating document libraries, and what might happen if it's not properly handled? 2. Explain that SharePoint Online 5,000 item view threshold, and 2 strategies from the Bemanda technology training material for mitigating its impact on large lists.
Data isn't just bytes, it's context, history, and access. Preserve them all for a truly successful move.
Okay, on to Section 7, handling custom solutions, workflows, and InfoPath forms. This is often where migrations hit major snags, right? Legacy components can be complex, deeply integrated, sometimes just deprecated in the new environment.
This is definitely a challenging but critical area. In older SharePoint versions, customizations often use tools and methods now deprecated or unsupported in SharePoint Online. The first hurdle, precisely identifying these legacy components. You can't modernize what you don't know you have.
Our material lists several common legacy artifacts needing special attention. SharePoint Designer, SPD, workflows 2010 ones are deprecated in SPO. 2013 workflows work but are phasing out. InfoPath forms supported but deprecated. Development ended years ago. Traditional custom web parts and full trust solutions, WSPs, not supported in SPO. Custom JavaScript or CSS in classic pages often won't carry over to modern pages without changes. And any third-party integrations might use legacy APIs needing reevaluation or replacement.
To help discover these, our material highlights specific tools. Use the SharePoint Migration Assessment Tool, SN, which we mentioned, finds many of these. ShareGate inventory reports are also excellent for deep insights into customizations. And targeted PowerShell scripts can be invaluable to extract workflow form usage data, details on custom solutions. Gives you a full inventory.
The good news. Microsoft 365 offers robust modernization paths. Our material details how you can replace these deprecated components with powerful modern services, often providing greater functionality.
First, workflow modernization with Power Automate. Rebuild legacy workflows here: approvals, notifications, routing, data collection. Power Automate offers cloud automation, pre-built templates, connectors to hundreds of services, seamless integration with Teams, Outlook, third-party systems, a huge upgrade from SPD.
Second, Forms modernization with Power Apps, the primary recommended replacement for InfoPath. Power Apps supports rich UIs for mobile web, complex custom logic, deep integration with Dataverse, SharePoint, external data, a massive leap in capability and user experience.
And third, web part and UX modernization with SPFX SharePoint Framework. Rebuild custom web parts the modern client-side way. SPFX supports modern toolchains like React, TypeScript, integrates with Teams tabs, extensions, provides a consistent modern UX aligned with M365.
Beyond those, our material also mentions other valuable tools. The PNP modernization framework for transforming classic pages lists to modern, leveraging native Microsoft lists and Viva connections for building structured apps without tons of code. So once you've identified these legacy bits, the big question, rebuild or retire. Migration is the perfect chance to reevaluate their relevance, their value. Don't bring old baggage if it's not serving you.
When should you rebuild? Our material suggests rebuilding when the workflow or form is actively used, business critical, or if it supports a key process, integrates with vital external systems. Also, if a modernized version would clearly give better UX, performance, or automation potential, definitely worth investing to rebuild with modern tools.
And when do you retire? Consider retiring if it's outdated, largely unused, or tied to a process policy that no longer applies. If rebuilding just doesn't provide justifiable business value, if it's rarely used, or if its function is now native in M365, time to let it go, simplify your environment.
Best practices from our material here are crucial. Engage business users early. Confirm what's still needed, how it's used. Document existing workflows thoroughly before decommissioning. Use migration as a chance to standardize, consolidate similar workflows or forms. Simplifies future maintenance.
Finally, a post-migration checklist for custom solutions is essential. Ensure legacy workflows inventoried, evaluated, rebuilt workflows tested, approved in Power Automate, InfoPath forms assessed, replaced, archived, custom web parts redeveloped with SPFX or replaced, end users train on new solutions, deprecated components documented, retired. Okay, time for some revision questions. 1. If your organization heavily used InfoPath forms in legacy SharePoint, what's the primary recommended modernization path in SharePoint Online according to the Bemanda technology training material? 2. What factors should you consider when deciding whether to rebuild a custom solution or simply retire it during migration?
Don't just move your customizations. Evolve them into powerful modern solutions. That's the real goal.
Let's move on to Section 8. User identity mapping and permissions migration. This is incredibly crucial. It's all about making sure once everything's moved, everyone can access exactly what they need and only what they need.
Yeah, the importance of identity mapping really can't be overstated. During any SharePoint migration, especially on-prem to SPO, accurately mapping and preserving user identities and permissions is absolutely crucial. It's about maintaining access controls, ensuring business continuity. Unlike content migration files, metadata, this ensures users and groups keep the same level of access in the new place. It's about making sure every digital key fits its new lock, and no unauthorized person gets a key they shouldn't.
So what are the key considerations when mapping on-premises Active Directory users to Azure AD accounts? Our guide mentions this is a fundamental shift.
It is a fundamental shift in identity management. The biggest difference: authentication. On-prem SharePoint typically uses Windows Auth, NTLM, Kerberos relying directly on local AD. SharePoint Online exclusively uses Azure Active Directory and modern auth protocols OAuth and TML. Identity mapping is a precise process of ensuring usernames, emails, login credentials are correctly matched and transformed between these two distinct environments. Looking at the bigger picture, best practices are clear. Synchronize your on-prem AD with Azure AD using Azure AD Connect before migration starts. Creates that foundational link. Also, validate user principal names, UPNs, in on-prem AD match email addresses in Azure AD, often how users are ID'd in the cloud. Use migration tools supporting user remapping ShareGate. Metalogix, they automate much of this complexity. And for tools that support it, create a user mapping CSV file. Explicitly list source logins like domain JDO and their destination logins like jdo@company.onmicrosoft.com or jdo@company.com.
Next, retaining or reconfiguring SharePoint group and role assignments. Vital that permissions reflect the exact same access levels in SPO. No unintended exposure, no loss of access.
So what exactly do you need to migrate or reconfigure? SharePoint groups. Those reusable containers like members, owners, visitors, role definitions, full control, contribute, read, and any custom permission levels you've created. And critically, any unique permissions set at item or library level. Often overlooked, but can cause major data exposure if not migrated correctly. Best practices here. Review and clean up unused groups before migrating. Don't blow over unnecessary complexity. Document any custom permission levels. Verify if equivalents exist in SPO. If moving towards using Microsoft 365 groups for collaboration, map or recreate group-based permissions accordingly. Our material recommends using PnP PowerShell or migration tools with sophisticated permission mapping support to ensure accuracy.
Now, a slightly more technical bit, using SAML claims and permission transformation scripts. Modern SPO heavily relies on claims-based authentication, SAML specifically.
This is a key technical detail. In SPO, user identities are represented as claims, like i.share.fmembershipuser@domain.com. But on-prem users might have legacy identifiers, like i.share.w domain username, based on old Windows auth. The critical transformation need. Convert those legacy NTLM claims to modern SAML claims to avoid broken permissions post-migration. If you don't, users might not access content they should, or worse, see access denied errors, even if their account seems fine. Tools like ShareGate, AvePoint, or PnP PowerShell scripts can automate this. For example, a PnP PowerShell script might use set pnpuser-identity domain jo-new login jdo@tenant.onmicrosoft.com to seamlessly replace the old claim with the new Azure AD claim of the permissions. Ensures continuity.
What are some common challenges to watch out for in this complex area?
You'll often hit orphaned users. Users who no longer exist in Azure AD but still have permissions in the source, like keys for someone who moved out. Issues with external users who don't have matching M365 identities. Name format mismatches are common too. Domain user versus user@domain.com. And role-based access often needs reconfiguration, especially as moving to M365 groups as your main permission mechanism. All areas needing careful pre-planning and validation.
For post-migration validation here, check. Users groups mapped correctly. Permissions match original levels. Claims-based identities translated. No broken orphan permissions. Group membership, M365 and SP groups, reviewed. External access tested for security compliance. Time for some deeper thought. 1. Why is synchronizing your on-premises Active Directory with Azure AD before migration such a critical best practice for user identity mapping, according to the Bemanda technology training material? 2. What are claims-based identities in SharePoint Online, and why is it important to transform legacy NTLM claims to SAML claims during migration?
In migration, access is everything. Ensure every digital key fits its new lock. Seriously.
Moving on to Section 9. Post-migration validation and user acceptance testing, UAT. You've moved all the boxes, they've arrived at the new house. But did they arrive safely? Are they in the right rooms ready to use? This phase confirms everything works.
You've hit the essence of it, yeah. A successful migration doesn't end when the content lands. It culminates with thorough post-migration validation and user acceptance testing. These final stages confirm all content migrated accurately, systems function exactly as expected, and crucially, are users equipped and confident to work in the new environment. Post-migration validation checks technical integrity. Did the bytes move correctly? UAT verifies user experience and business functionality. Can users actually do their jobs in the new system?
How do you do this verification systematically, especially for big migrations? Our material suggests robust validation scripts and comprehensive checklists.
Absolutely. Automated validation scripts and structured checklists streamline verification, makes it repeatable, less prone to human error. Your validation scripts should check for things like document item counts, match pre-migration figures, metadata fields verified, file versions, permission levels, list views, site navigation, workflow statuses. For tools and methods, use PowerShell, especially PnP PowerShell, for programmatically checking site structure, list integrity. Your migration tools ShareGate, SPMT logs provide detailed success failure logs, your first line of defense. Audit logs track file access, security changes. And of course, manual validation is needed for UI elements, custom pages, visual formatting automated tools might miss. Our Bemanda technology training material even has a sample migration checklist, practical items like document counts match, metadata preserved, permissions migrated, with space for notes, shows how to verify methodically.
So what exactly are you testing for? Access, functionality, metadata integrity, permissions, covers a broad range, technically, functionally, user-centrically.
For access and permissions testing, confirm users access appropriate sites libraries. Test SharePoint group membership, M365 group integration, validate external sharing settings, no unintended access or restrictions, content and metadata integrity. Compare sample files lists for accuracy titles, dates, version history, attachments, embedded links. Validate filters, search work as expected based on migrated metadata.
Then functional testing. Thoroughly test navigation links, page layouts, confirm list views, custom web parts, Power Apps render properly, validate integration with Teams, OneDrive, other M365 services, and critically, workflow and automation testing. Ensure Power Automate flows trigger, run correctly. Replace or validate decommission legacy workflows that were rebuilt.
Collecting feedback through UAT sessions and issue tracking is essential. Ensures the environment meets real-world business needs, identifies usability issues before full rollout. For UAT planning, identify participants from various business units, provide clear instructions, feedback forms, define concrete success criteria aligned with business ops. During UAT activities, participants review site joiner, usability, accessibility, validate key business functions submitting forms, running workflows, approvals, report issues via structured templates or ticketing tools, tools for issue tracking, simple Microsoft lists, or Excel for smaller projects, or integrated tools like Jira, Azure DevOps, ServiceNow for Enterprise. Crucially, establish good communication and feedback loops. Live UAT sessions, assign responsibilities for issue triage, capture lessons learned for future projects.
Let's roleplay. A help desk agent guiding a user after a major cutover from on-prem file shares to M365 OneDrive HA. Welcome to the new system. I know it's a big change. Are you able to access your shared documents folder in OneDrive? We've worked hard to ensure all your files are there, based on the Bemanda technology training material guidelines for content integrity. I see most of them, but some of my Excel links to other documents are showing errors. And where's the sales report generator file? It used to be right on my desktop. HA. Okay, let's unpack this. For the Excel links, it's likely a path issue because the file location changed. We can help you remap those. The sales report generator file, that was a local application, wouldn't migrate directly. We replaced it with a new Power App accessible through your Teams site. Let me walk you through finding that new link in Teams that actually integrates much better with your workflow now. So to recap best practices from our material for this crucial phase, run validation UAT immediately after each migration wave. Don't wait till the very end. Combine automated checks with manual UI validation for full coverage. Encourage honest, constructive feedback. Even minor usability issues impact adoption. Track all issues to resolution before calling the migration complete. And always keep detailed validation documentation for audit compliance. Time for a final reflection on validation. 1. What's the difference between post-migration validation and user acceptance testing, UAT, and why are both absolutely crucial for a successful migration? 2. According to the Bemanda technology training material, what are 2 key pieces of information you'd include in a validation script to ensure content integrity?
Your migration isn't complete until your users are confidently navigating their new digital home, period.
Moving into our final section, Section 10. Automation, reporting, and monitoring during migration. Once you're in the thick of it, or even post-migration, how do you keep tabs on everything, make it run smoothly, efficiently?
Yeah, the pivotal role of automation here really can't be overstated. It offers a significant reduction in manual effort, human error, and it vastly increases repeatability, especially crucial in large-scale or phase migrations. It's how you scale effort without scaling your team linearly.
Our material points directly to using PowerShell and Power Automate to streamline processes. How do these fit in?
PowerShell is your workhorse for automation. Powerful scripting tool for automating tons of tasks. Generating comprehensive inventory reports, pre-migration validation scans, managing user mapping, permission replication, even configuring bulk migration jobs, especially integrated with tools like ShareGate or SPMT. PNP PowerShell, specifically, accesses both modern and classic SharePoint, incredibly versatile for almost any migration scenario. For example, use PowerShell to auto-generate a report of all site collection storage, or apply consistent metadata or site settings post-migration across hundreds of sites, or script validation of content file counts, permission comparisons.
And then Power Automate integration. Fantastic for automating post-migration activities, ongoing operational tasks. Use Power Automate flows for notifications, alerts like notifying site owners when their content is migrated successfully. Use it for user onboarding welcome emails for newly migrated sites. Even automate approval or verification steps during validation.
The importance of visibility cannot be stressed enough during complex migrations. Tracking progress with detailed logs, insightful dashboards, comprehensive reporting tools is absolutely key. Ensures content transferred successfully, allows prompt issue resolution when problems pop up.
Your migration tool logs are your first line of defense. Most tools, ShareGate, AvePoint, Metalogix, SPMT, generate detailed successor logs. They tell you number of migrated files, warnings like unsupported metadata needing manual check, crucial failure details with error codes, retry options. These logs are your audit trail.
Then dashboards and reports. Tools like ShareGate provide built-in dashboards. Real-time visibility into migration throughput, data volume, remaining items, success rates across waves or batches. For custom reporting approaches, use Power BI to visualize migration logs, generate real-time dashboards for management, or simpler Excel Microsoft lists for manual tracking collaboration. Perfect for quick exec updates on progress.
Finally, post-migration monitoring through Microsoft 365 Admin Center and compliance tools. Our material emphasizes ongoing monitoring. Governance are essential for a stable, secure, compliant environment long after migration's done.
The Microsoft 365 Admin Center is your central hub for day-to-day ops. Centralized visibility into site activity, storage usage, user activity reports, service health alerts, granular audit logs for file activity, sharing, deletions. Your command center for the new digital home, and the Microsoft Purview Compliance Center. Enables ongoing compliance monitoring via detailed audit trails, data loss prevention, DLP, policy alerts, insider risk management, e-discovery, retention policies, ensures you meet regulatory obligations post-migration.
And crucially, set up alerts and proactive monitoring. Configure alerts for weird behavior, excessive downloads, unauthorized sharing from the new environment. Monitor external sharing via audit logs, sensitivity labels. Leverage Microsoft Defender for cloud apps, MCS, for advanced monitoring across all apps users. Gives a comprehensive security overview.
To summarize best practices from our material for this final, crucial phase, automate repetitive tasks, PowerShell, Power Automate save time, reduce errors, leverage tool-generated logs, dashboards for real-time visibility, set up real-time alerts, post-migration reports for tracking usage, access, security, and always maintain detailed documentation, audit trails for compliance, troubleshooting, future analysis.
Time for our last set of revision questions. 1. How can PowerShell be used to automate tasks during a migration project, according to the Bemanda technology training material? 2. What are 2 key areas you should monitor in the Microsoft Purview Compliance Center after a migration to ensure ongoing compliance?
Automate the tedious, monitor the critical, and report the success. That's really the modern migration mantra.
Well, we've taken a pretty comprehensive deep dive into mastering migration today. Covered everything from the strategic why to the practical how-to of moving your digital world. It's clear, I think, that migration is far more than just transferring data. It's a profound strategic opportunity for modernization, efficiency, enhanced collaboration.
And all these invaluable insights, they come straight from the detailed Bemanda technology training material on mastering migration. A truly excellent, really practical resource for anyone looking to deeply understand this complex process.
Whether you're moving just a small department's files or orchestrating a massive enterprise-wide cloud adoption, remember that preparedness, choosing the right tools, and meticulous validation, they are your best friends on this journey. Keys to a smooth, successful transition.
So maybe a final thought. What small piece of your digital environment could you start assessing today, just to prepare for future modernization? Even a tiny inventory can be that first crucial step towards a smoother, more strategic digital future for your organization.
Thank you for diving deep with us on the deep dive. We hope this conversation helps you confidently navigate your next migration journey.